You can see these as some museums. There's a couple of pictures of them here. Man,
let's check the pressure. Let's check the blood pressure of Uncle Sam's wife, Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, the heartbeat, the rate, the pulse rate of Samantha is off the charts. Why wouldn't it be? We're being bullied. We're being threatened. Now, I know. I know the millionaires never had it so good. The middle class, they don't know. I have friends. I had a good friend. I won't tell you the person's name. Wanted to sell me a 6-pack of Mountain Dew.
What?
Needed money and said, I got a 6-pack of Mountain Dew. I'll sell it to you cheap. I need some gas money.
But,
are you kidding me?
But the economy is just great, Jack.
Again, look at Samantha's pulse rate. PTSD for the journalist. PTSD for the citizens.
Exactly. But, Jack, the economy's doing so great.
Maybe the
No,
guy...
it isn't. I just saw a post. I don't know where the source of this is. But if this is true, this should shock you. The growth, the bottom half, the average growth of their income for the last 20 years, I believe, might even be longer, might be 30. You know what it is? It's negative.
Yeah.
0.2 trillion, negative $200 billion.
Yeah.
While the top 1% have gained $21 trillion in the same time period.
Yeah. While Rahm Emanuel in Chicago ran back to Wall Street after he effed up Chicago, and particularly the public schools, it was discovered he and his close family members had racked up $175,000 in Chicago parking tickets.
Jeez.
And what is Trump now? We're $20 million just for his golf outings for security.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend trying to sell a bottle of pop to get gas money.
Yeah.
And he's got a family.
Yeah. I got a great article that goes right along with this. This is by Abigail Hess, writing for CNBC. Children in the U.S. are told from an early age that hard work pays off, starting with their time in school. By the way, this article was published on May 29th, and we're just hearing about this, so bear with us. But according to a recent report from the Georgetown Center on Education and the Workforce, which is titled Born to Win, Schooled to Lose, being born wealthy is a better indicator of adult success in the U.S. than academic performance.
Oh, yeah.
Right there it is in black and white, folks.
Forget your Horatio Alger.
Let me reread that. Being born wealthy is a better indicator of adult success in the U.S. than academic performance.
Is Johnny Appleseed a myth?
I don't
The guy
think...
that went around planting apples.
Yeah.
You know who Horatio Alger is? Horatio Alger, like Johnny Appleseed, supposedly believed that if you just start small and work hard and you put your nose to the grindstone, you will be successful in the United States. And so he wrote stories about people that rose up out of the dust and became huge billionaires. The truth is, 99% of the millionaires and billionaires you have, 99% of them came from inheritance. From inheritance. Mm-hmm. It's a closed system. Like Carlin says, it's a club that you and I, Darren, are not in, and 99% of us aren't.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. But Jack, all you got to do is just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know what? The next person that tells me that, I'm going to choke them by their bootstraps, because that is a lie. Let me read this here. Anthony P. Carnaval, director of the CEW and lead author of the report, tells CNBC, quote, "To succeed in America, it's better to be born rich than smart. People with talent often don't succeed. What we found in this study is that people with talent that come from disadvantaged households don't do as well as people with very little talent from advantaged households." End of quote. Perfect examples residing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Donald John Trump.
The very prototype of what's wrong with America, wrong with politics, is embodied in Donald J. Trump, whose great-grandfather was a pimp, who went across the nation, across the United States, opened up brothels, cheating, swindling. You see, that's why Ayn Rand is so popular with these Republicans. Ayn Rand. No, seriously. Yeah. In a nutshell, folks, you don't have to read Atlas Shrugged. Just take a couple of bullet points here with Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand explained that human beings are never at their best more than when they unleash their natural, deep-seated, intrinsic, archetypal greed. Greed. Like Michael Douglas said, greed is good in a movie. Greed is not
Wall
good.
Street.
And the idea that we're at our best when we unleash our tendencies for self-servedness and self-aggrandizement, Ayn Rand's very motto, is where we live. Do you know that Bush took all of his cabinet, this is Bush, little Bushy, number 2,
George W. Bush,
and had him read The Prince, no relation to me, because of the instilled benefit of having, I think it's pronounced Machiavellian, attitude and strategy. That's what succeeds.
Wow.
It's not being benevolent. It's not working hard. It's not being honorable. Forget it. That's laughable.
Well, let's dig into this a little bit more. Carnevale and his team analyzed data from the National Center for Education Statistics to trace the outcomes of students from kindergarten through adulthood, assessing intellect according to performance on standardized math tests. The researchers then categorized students by socioeconomic status, considering household income, parents' educational attainment, and parents' occupational prestige, a measure of social standing, power, and earnings ability as defined by the Duncan Socioeconomic Index. What they found was that poor kindergartners with good scores are less likely to graduate from high school, graduate from college, or earn a high wage than their affluent peers with bad grades. Specifically, the study found that a kindergarten student from the bottom 25% of socioeconomic status with test scores from the top 25% of students has a 31% chance of earning a college education and working a job that pays at least $35,000 by the time they are 25 and at least $45,000 by the time they are 35. A kindergarten student from the top 25% of socioeconomic status with test scores from the bottom 25% of students, you know what their chance of achieving those same milestones were?
What's that?
71%. 71% versus 31%.
And of course, if you want to get into a prestigious college, what's the percentage of people who can afford $500,000-$600,000 to put your little daughter's butt in USC or wherever, Stanford?
Yeah.
And you really have to understand. There's only one thing that matters. Maybe Ann's right.
It's money.
Money.
Yep.
And for that, there is no war you won't go to. There's no poison you won't put in the atmosphere. There's no corruption or cheating or bribery you won't enter into.
Yeah, let me continue here. Even if students from disadvantaged households do beat the odds and earn a college degree, they still face challenges. The Georgetown Study found that kindergartners from low socioeconomic status families who scored in the top 25% and later earned college degrees had a 76% chance of reaching high socioeconomic status by the age of 25. Unbelievable. By comparison, their low-scoring, high socioeconomic status peers who earned college degrees, in comparison, their chance of maintaining that status, 91%. Money talks and bullshit walks. That is a period, end of story, folks. Carnevale says there are several variables that contribute to this dynamic. Quote, people tend to blame the schools and they are at fault for not saving people who start out smart. But there are also a variety of factors that have to do with race and class and gender and everything from books in the home to how many words you know when you're in the first grade too. Disadvantage and advantage are very complex. End of quote. The Georgetown Study also explores the impact of the additional advantages experienced by the income of wealthy families. In 2016, families from the highest income quintile spent about $8,600 per year on child enrichment activities, while family members in the lowest quintile spent closer to $1,700. Carnevale adds, quote, when we follow these kids over all those years, grade by grade, what we find out is they all stumble. The difference is between who stumbles and gets back up again and who stumbles and doesn't. End of quote. He believes that if resources and support can help low-scoring advantaged students overcome challenges and reach success, similar support could also help high-scoring disadvantaged students. Carnevale points to a wide range of public policies that could help address educational inequality, including universal preschool, equitable K-12 school funding, diversifying schools with high and low-performing students in the same classes, ensuring stable living wages for parents, and fostering safe schools and neighborhoods. Quote, these are not cheap and easy things to do, and they don't happen overnight, but we've never built comprehensive policies that begin with the neighborhood or the school. End of quote. While some, he says, may argue that the cost to implement these policies would be too high, he says this, quote, the other view, which is also accurate, is that the economic loss in human capital and human capabilities is equal to the cost. End of quote. So there it is, folks.
You know, this has infiltrated all of our institutions, not just personal lives. The story this week in Truthdig, Wall Street has its top Democratic hopefuls all picked out. I repeat, Wall Street has its top Democratic hopefuls all picked out. You have to understand, the Democratic Party, once thinking about the welfare of the small guy and the middle class, now takes its leading from Wall Street. We just saw Elizabeth Warren, one of those hopefuls, who's supposedly progressive, going to challenge the corporate stranglehold on America, going to challenge the corporate stranglehold responsible for the fact that since 1970, the average wage income for the middle class has been stagnant or dropped. I sat at a group of friends the other night and said, when I went to college, it was $1,400 a year. They said, what? Yeah, $1,400, that was room and board. They said, I wouldn't buy books today. You're looking at $60,000 to go over here to Hope College a year. $60,000. The middle class doesn't have a warrior in Elizabeth Warren or Beto or any of them except Sanders. Because Elizabeth Warren came out and said just unequivocally this week that in the general election, she will take money from big corporations. In the primary, she is going to limit it to non-corporations. But in the general election, she's going to AOC, challenge the pharmacies this week, ask them a straight question. Why does it cost for HIV drug treatments, and I don't know exactly what it is, $2,000? In Australia, it's $8. In Africa, it's $6. We have been infiltrated with a system that pads its way for the rich, and we're suffering. We're suffering. Our kids are suffering. We can't afford to send them to college. We can't afford to get medical care. We have thousands of people dying. The rent in Grand Rapids is untouchable today. It's untouchable across the United States. It is.
We talked about it on the show just a few weeks ago. Somebody that's a listener of our show mentioned that the rent in the upstairs apartment above him increased $300. It's now $1,200 a month to live in downtown Grand Rapids, and that's probably a low figure. Look at all the development that's happening in downtown Grand Rapids. You think that's cheap? You think you're going to get that for a good price, folks? You better think again.
And those people that thought that Trump was going to help you financially, that delusion, when are you going to walk out of that one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just amazed how many people live in total delusions there. I'm not going to attack religion right here, but do you know some of the things people believe? I mean, seemingly intelligent people.
Yeah.
Do you realize that now Trump is being considered a messiah? Well, if that's not delusional, Psychology Today says the belief that Trump is a messiah is now rampant and dangerous. It's not the crazy guy down the street with the bumper sticker?
Nope, it's the little old lady that sits in the back of the church and tithes her 10%. It's scary.
It's the little old lady that listens to TV evangelists peddling $45 Trump coins, claiming that it will put you in direct contact to God.
Like the pride of Muskegon, Jim Baker.
I think it came from Jim Baker's show.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, and you know what? They listen to folks like Alex Jones, who's got a world of legal problems right now. I want to get to this. This is by Ryan Grenoble at HuffPost. This is dated June 17th. In a court filing Monday, lawyers representing Sandy Hook parents in a lawsuit against InfoWars' Alex Jones says the conspiracy theorist defense team sent them numerous images of illegal child pornography